You're watching this video because you want to know how to make a rock beat that sounds epic, taking influence maybe even from Muse, for example, as a reference artist. What I'm going to do in this video is break down this beat, how I did it from start to finish, so you get the best understanding of how I went about building up the production from that first source of inspiration to the final end beat. And hopefully at the end of this video, by watching the end, you'll know how to make a beat like this for yourself, no matter what entry or mid or high level of producer you're at. So firstly, let's have a listen just in bulk quickly to the instrumental that I'm going to be breaking down. So you get the idea. Now, what this beat really is built around is that first initial source of inspiration, which in this case is the bass. Now, what I like to do a lot of the time is bounce my MIDI into audio because it's a lot more controlled. However, for the sake of showing you where I sourced this bass from, we're going to open it up again just in MIDI so you know. So what I used was Contact, and I used the Prime Bass by Native Instruments. Now, again, as I say in all these videos, all the plugins in this video will be in the description below if you want to check them out for yourselves at Native Instruments. I'm very much a Native Instruments user. So yeah, if you want to check out any of the plugins that I use in sounds, they're all available in the description and the comments below if you want to check them out after this video. So I used the Prime Bass, and we used just the preset. So this is actually a preset loop. So that bass sound, which you can hear right here, really cool, and that's exactly what it is straight out the tin. So the bass itself, now I'll have to quickly try and find it. So the preset I used is called Doom Bass, and if I just press on a note, it sounds like this. Now I did a little bit of variation from C to F just so the whole track isn't just holding down the C, even though this is a really cool riff. But this was the first source of inspiration. I found this before anything else, and I thought, I want to run with this. So yeah, the Prime Bass, so I started with that, and then what I did was I wanted to have a guitar melody which emulated the bass. That works really well in rock tracks sometimes. It can really mean you don't have to do as much with the production because it sounds a lot bigger because the guitars and the bass are in sync with each other. So all I did was, the reason why I bounced out to audio is then I could put an octave and 2 octaves up. So I had these really nice kind of like harmonies going on. It kind of sounds metallic, the top one, but I really kind of like that. It had this really kind of interesting sound, which is something you've got to experiment around with. Does it sound like real guitar? No. Does it matter? No, it sounds wicked. And then obviously this was the octave up. I love the slap it had on it, but again, you put it all together and then you've pretty much got a really full sound just ready for the production. And that's the main hook that we're persisting with for the track. So then the next thing we wanted to do was add the drums. I always find if you're going to do the bass first, you've really got to get the drums in because that's part of the rhythm section. So for the drums today, it's using just one kit. We're in Contact and we're using the Abbey Road 80s drummer. One of my go-to drum kits in Native Instruments. Again, link below for this plugin. I use it in about 60% of my tracks. I just love the way it sounds because it's got a real nice kind of real feel to it, but also it's quite easy to control. You can adjust the room mics, which you know you can do on a lot of plugins, but I just like this kit. It's kind of like a kit I keep coming back to a lot. So again, we're just laying down a kind of simple drum beat, but I wanted a little bit of variation, so it's not just a straight 4-bar copy. So you'll hear there is variation. You don't need to keep, like, again, just keep it simple. And with mini drums, make sure you separate the hi-hats from the kick and the snare. That's what I like to do. And then you've got the crashes and then the fills. This is how I like to separate the drums, because then you have a lot more ability to mix the drums, make it sound a little more real, or at least place it a little bit better in the mix than doing it straight from the software instrument. That's just a personal preference of mine. You don't have to do it, but I like to do it. So yeah, so when I did the drums in, complementing what we've done so far, we have this. So now it's about adding ideas to this, making this sound bigger. I really want that drive. So what I did was I went back into Contact 8 and I used the electric sunburst. Now this is really good for rock music, especially if you're a Native Instrument user. You may be aware of this. If not, Again, link below. And I just wanted something straightforward, and ironically, the straightforward preset had exactly what I needed. So I laid this first one, just playing eighths, and I layered this. The second variation of this one, it is the muted version of what's going on. However, in the playback, I doubled the speed, so it's basically doing kind of 16ths. So you got this real nice muted underlayer, which really helps add a percussive feel to these guitars. Which, when you put it in with this, it kind of like fills in some gaps in between the melody. But we want this to sound even better. We want more movement. So then we move on to actually recording in some real guitars. So the first thing I've recorded in is this. Now, I've just used a preset, the classic drive preset. I haven't done anything else to this other than add a sample delay to this. So I can sample delay it out to the left, giving it a stereo spread so it's at the sides of the mix and doesn't muddy up the mix too much. And came with this. A little bit of variation at the end. And then I've also added in this guitar riff as well. Again, very simple, but together, just adding more guitar layers, really starting to like have this production feeling really full, like this. So then there's still some gaps in the mix now, like there could be something a little bit more to complement the low end to give that chorus a nice buzz, and I also feel like synthetic qualities can actually work really well in rock music. So the first thing I did was solve the synth problem. Now I've got a lot of inspiration from stuff like the soft rock side, so like Keen is a band I really love because they use a lot of synthetic qualities with a piano. And Muse as well, they use synths, so that's how this kind of gets this Muse influence from. So I added in this Beauty Blubbers, which is just a preset pad, but it works. And then finishing it off with my favorite piano of all time, Contact 8, the Maverick compressed pop preset. I swear by this a lot of time. I use it in pretty much everything, especially this technique that I'm using here where you use the lower piano only in the choruses. It adds a real nice low stamp while also introducing a new element to make the production sound more interesting. So that sounds like that. Again, super simple stuff. Sample delayed it out the sides of the mix so it's not in the middle. You can't have kind of this in the middle because you've already got the bass guitar in the middle carrying the lows. So it means you've got some lows going on throughout the whole stereo spread, which when you put it all together, it sounds like this. Now, when it comes to mixing and mastering, I did a little bit of a channel EQ first just to bring out some qualities, but then we are mastering in Ozone 12 Advanced. This is something I've recently got. Massive upgrade on Ozone 9, which I had before. Open it up, and then you get presented with this. So then you can go to this icon here, and it's going to analyze the track for you. Saves a lot of time mixing and mastering. I don't like to overcomplicate mixing and mastering with beats because the mixing and mastering phase is going to happen realistically when the artist has purchased the license with the stems and recorded the vocals over. So I just want a simple mix, and this is what Ozone 12 Advanced is really good for. So you can click custom, and I did classic rock, and I got it to analyze the track. I like to go the whole 60 seconds to really give it the time and the patience to do it. All these plugins get added, and then you hit start assistance, and then it analyzes the track. You've just got to make sure that you're playing the track. Okay, so it's analyzed the track, and it's come up with something that sounds like this. It's going to play around. Nice. Didn't have to do much adjusting around, and I'm happy with that. That mix sounds really good. Let's do a quick before and after so you can see what it's done. So easy. It's something that it saves about 5 to 10 minutes in your workflow, which when you're someone like me who makes beats every single day on top of music productions for other people, it just gives you that extra time, and time is very valuable in this profession. So yeah, guys, that is the breakdown on how I made an epic sounding rock beat. Again, all the plugins that you saw in this video are in the link in the description and in the comments below, so go check them out if they have interested you. But until next video, guys, keep making music, and I'll see you in the next video.